Okay, we are going to talk about the chain drive mechanism. So this is my chain drive right here. All right, so it is consists of not gears, but these are called sprockets. There's a smaller sprocket and a larger sprocket right here. Here is my chain. It is connected with, just like the other mechanisms, you have your shafts, you have your shaft collars, spacer, your bearing flats holding with rivets, and the same thing on the other side as well. It does not matter what the spread is when we make our mechanisms, but when you make your windmills and your dragster, it's gonna be a very key part for how spread apart the sprockets are. So like I said, it's also called a chain and sprocket just because that's what it uses, a chain and a sprocket. It is also reversible, meaning that obviously from before, the input and the output can be changed. It also changes speed depending on your input. So this is like what we talked about with the gear ratios, where your bigger bigger gear, or in this case your sprocket, when you put your input in the larger sprocket, the output is fast because it'll spin the small sprocket fast. And then your input being the small sprocket, your output is going to be slow because it's powering the bigger sprocket. So I'll show you that right here. So you have your bigger sprocket, my crank's over on that, and there's my smaller sprocket. So therefore, when I turn this, it makes it go fast. And then when I take the crank off and I put it on my small sprocket, it's gonna make this go slower. Okay. So next, we'll talk about don't over tighten the chain. This can cause the shafts to bow. So mine is pretty snug right now. It is a little difficult to turn a little bit, but I will say my shafts are not bowed, so it's probably at the right amount of tightness. However, if I were to decrease by one of the chains, then it would probably start bowing the shaft. Most of you will probably not be able to get it tight enough to do that, but it is good knowledge to know to not over tighten the chain. And it cannot have more than 2 sprockets, and that's just because the mechanism would be much harder to operate if it had more than 2 sprockets. So that is our chain drive mechanism.